Hey James, how are you?
What's up? How's it going? Just out here riding around looking at properties.
Excellent. Hey, I was just on the Zoom call this morning with our students that are our course members. They have the Zoom every Wednesday morning, as you know. And a question came up that I thought you could answer. So just wanted to run it past you. The question is, what are the top three factors to consider when you're showing a commercial property?
Great question. I think number one is understand the area that you're trying to purchase in. Um, One of the things that we looked at today is we pulled a feasibility and traffic count report for this client because they needed to be in an area with high traffic count. So we took that out with us. We rode the property. We rode it in the morning, in the afternoon, and then we rode it again later on to make sure that what we're actually looking at makes sense for them to purchase due to them needing a high traffic count area.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. What about cash flow and understanding cash flow of it? Would you say that's an important point too?
Probably the most important, I guess, because we need to be able to pay for the property, right? So yeah, I mean, taking a look at the net operating income, which basically is the cash flow of the property, and really understanding what is all the income of that property, and then also what is all the expenses of that property, and really sitting down with your seller or your other agent and getting the truth of what every line item is of income and every line item of expenses, and make sure and take those, internal numbers that they're providing you and matching those up with a profit and loss statement or a tax return if you can get that, and make sure that those match up. And if not, trying to really understand, okay, what is the true cash flow and net operating income of that property, and what's could be built in that could be taken out.
Awesome. Interesting. So you're verifying and doing your due diligence on the fact that the numbers that you're being provided match up with the actual numbers on a tax return or on a profit and loss statement for the business side.
Absolutely, it's a big purchase, so you want to make sure that what you're purchasing is what you're being told you're purchasing. So
Yeah. And then what about types of buyers that you could imagine? If you're riding around and you come across a great commercial listing, what kind of buyers could you present this to potentially?
yeah, I think this goes back to my banking days where you take a look at the property and say, okay, what's the primary source of repayment for this property? And if the primary source of repayment of the property is rents from the property, then you're going to be targeting more of an investor on that property because you probably have multiple tenants in that property. Or if the property primary source of repayment is end user, then typically you're going to be looking for an end user buyer, a one-off tenant, or somebody that's wanting to move their business into that building.
So is it fair to say that you can imagine in commercial that buyers, you know, really will fall into two different categories, either the end user who's going to use the space for the business or an investor who's going to rent it out and expect a return on his investment?
Absolutely. And I think that goes back to the risk, right? Also, because if you've got one tenant, then if that tenant doesn't pay properly or pay on time, then you got a lot more risk than you have multiple tenants. And then if one tenant happens to be a slow pay, then you've got a little bit less risk associated with that, as long as they're not an anchor tenant.
Awesome. Well, I know you've got to get back on the road and get to the next property, but appreciate you jumping on, and we'll chat soon.
Sounds great. Have a good day. See ya.
See you.